$113,944.88. Have you seen the letter?
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I can recall.
It's in the, look at the bundle. It's better to look at it than to recall. There are some minutes on that letter. Is that your handwriting? The letter of December 31st, 2012.
December 31st, 2012.
You have difficulties in locating it. Can you give me the bundle again? You have
the latest I have here is September 27, 2017. I have not seen. Okay, yeah. I've seen December.
You've seen the letter?
Yes.
Now, as I said, at this time, NAWEC already owned significant sums to the corporation. And you have also told us that when you took over, NAWEC, the total loan portfolio was in the region of over $1 billion. Mr. Graham, did you advise at this time that a lot of money was outstanding and the fund, the National Provident Fund itself, was in jeopardy? Did you advise?
We discussed it at length before the directors came. I tried to convince them.
You discussed it with who?
With these executives. They called me, State House, and they told me about the problem.
Who specifically, please?
The Secretary General and I think the PS or so, I cannot remember. But the Secretary General, they called me over and tried to tell me about the urgency of this. Otherwise, they said that the whole country will go blackout and NAWEC will be in trouble and the country and the economy will be in trouble. I told them, I reminded them that there are a lot of money being expended already and we are struggling. And they said that they have to go ahead. It's an executive directive. So I asked them, put it in writing because I cannot take anything verbal. So they put it in writing and sent it to me, and then the necessary process was done.
Who was the Secretary General this time?
I think it was Charles Kamara for this one. I think it's Charles Kamara or somebody else. This was Charles Kamara was there, I think.
Was this matter referred to the board?
Pardon?
Did this matter go to the board?
I think so. I think it was referred to the board. Because he said that the board of directors have endorsed the directive via board walkabout resolution. Yeah, it was taken to the board. It stated here, the board of directors have endorsed the directive. The board of directors have endorsed the directive via board walkabout resolution number 1/56/2012, dated 31st December 2012.
That's the board resolution.
Pardon? Yeah, that was the board resolution.
This is your handwriting?
Yes.
Until the time you left, was any payment made from NAWEC with regard to this loan?
With regard to this particular loan, or with regard to NAWEC loans?
NAWEC loans.
Yes.
Some payments were made.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have the information?
Yes.
About the payments?
If I can just a quick explanation of how payments were made from NAWEC.
Do you have any documents to support it?
Yes, I will have a document.
You have them here?
Yes.
If you have them, put them together.
Yeah.
Show us what NAWEC has paid and how payment, and you can.
I will not tell you how much NAWEC has paid, but I'll give you the document that was signed on the 14th of July 2016 for them to start the payment, and the payments were started.
July 2016?
Yeah, July 2016.
What is that document?
It's an agreement between NAWEC and Social Security, because when we failed to convince the executives to put pressure on NAWEC, we decided to go solo. We decided for the two management, when I say solo, to go, whilst we are keep the pressure on the executive, we decided to approach NAWEC again. And the two management met, and I told them that, look, you don't have money to pay. Now what we have to do is, let's offset our future liabilities with you. We will be incurring bills in the future. You have us you have payments in the past that you have not made. So now let's come together. Let Social Security and all our subsidiaries, including the NTC complex and the big the company, the Transport Corporation, GTSC, the Ocean Bay, Sun Beach Hotel, let all of them be paying their bills to us, which is substantial. I think I know whether it's up to 5 million. Should be paying to us monthly, and then we will be offsetting that against NAWEC loans, and then NAWEC will be giving them their credit notes as to confirm that they have made payments. The agreement was signed, virtually ultimately signed on the 14th of July 2016, and payments have started coming in when I was there. That was the strategy we used when we failed to push the executive to give them the directive.
Do you have, is that you only have the loan agreement? Do you have any correspondence to go with it? Any receipts, or that's all you have? Put together.
Everything is inside the loan agreement.
All right, let's have it. By the time you left in March 2017,
yes.
Do you have a record of how much was paid?
Not with me here. I don't have a record. The investment unit will have a record of that.
Investment in the corporation should have a record.
Yes.
All right, we will review, we'll apply to have it admitted and review it, and may recall you for questioning on this one in due course. Mr. Chairman, may I apply to have admitted a document called Debt Repayment Agreement between NAWEC and Social Security, 2015-2016. Was this approved by the board?
I can't remember right now whether it was approved by the board, but it was effective.
Cannot remember.
Yeah. Honorable Counsel, can I make use of the water?
I believe that's why it's there, but the Secretariat.
Yeah, look. This. Right. Yeah.
debt repayment agreement dated 14th day of July 2016 between SSHFC and NAWEC, admitted mark SC26.
Mr. Graham, I'll also show you SC25 in relation to fire and emergency vehicles purchase. Mr. Graham, can you tell us what this was all about and why? This was during your time, wasn't it? 21st September 2012.
Yes, it was during my time.
Yes. Can you tell us what this is about and why should the corporation involve itself?
Briefly, I was called to state, I think this was during the time of Yoguba, Dr. Yoguba, as the Minister of Presidential Affairs and Secretary General. I was called over with, in the presence was the American ambassador, Mr. Jackson, Ambassador Jackson was there, excuse me. And I was told that because of the airport problems, in getting the, I don't know how they call it, the level of the airport. It's on, I think it was level 1 or 2, and because of that, it's not attracting a lot of airlines or aircraft to come into the airport because of safety reasons. And they want to increase the level of the airport. So therefore, they have to order these sophisticated fire tenders for the airport to move it up to, I think, level 8 or so, that will attract big aircraft to come in. And they said that they want Social Security to finance it. They've already signed the contract, and they want Social Security to finance it, and they will pay back. It's a loan they are taking. They will pay back the money to us. And I told them, as usual, we are struggling, but if you want us to go ahead with it, please put it in writing and let me have the executive directive, and we will do the necessary things to proceed.
Did you consider yourself as having the authority to approve such a loan?
I think it was sent to the board as well.
If you have any document which indicates that the board approved this loan, please let us have it, because we don't have any such document. Or if you have a reference that we can follow up.
There was a board walkabout resolution on the 9th of January 2014.
Who was the chair of the board during this period?
It was Momodu, the chairperson was Momodu Sabali. 2014.
Momodu Sabali.
No, I think the chairperson was SG. I think the chairperson was Momodu Sabali. I can't remember right now, because they usually change. Sometimes you say Secretary General is a chairperson, so whoever sits there is the chairperson. But I think it was Momodu Sabali. or so.
You were referring to a document when you gave us the date, 9 January 2014.
9 January, yeah.
What document are you referring to?
It's a copy of the walkabout resolution.
You have a copy of the walkabout resolution. Do you wish to admit it, to have it admitted to the commission?
Yes. If I
Do you have a copy of the walkabout resolution for the NAWEC loan we had previously discussed?
Copy of the walkabout resolution of the NAWEC loan. Is
If
it
you
the
have-
5.6 million?
Yes. If you have any other walkabout resolution, please put it together so that we can admit them.
With all due respect, madam, if I can have a copy later on.
You can contact the secretariat, they'll make you a copy.
Okay.
If you want to have it admitted, that is.
Yes.
All right.
The walkabout board resolution for the NAWEC 5.6 million, it's here.
And
That's
what-
a copy. And the letter, the executive directive is attached to it.
And the walkabout resolution for the fire and emergency vehicles purchase?
The walkabout resolution is here. For the
Fire and emergency vehicles
The
purchase.
walkabout resolution for the fire and tender is also here
Right.
with all the letters attached to it that initiate it.
Can you put them together? Do you have any other walkabout resolution you wish admitted in relation to the loans that were given by the corporation pursuant to executive directives?
There's a walkabout resolution for the joint venture with Qatari company.
Can you decide that we'll come to the investments? We'll
Pardon?
come to the investment on another date. Can you detach that one? We will come to the investments on another date. We are dealing with loans at the moment.
Yes, these are the-
You have those two. All right. Let's have them. The walkabout resolution for the fire and emergency vehicles is dated 9th January 2014.
Yeah.
Did you have approval when the 15% of the 3.6 million was given?
Pardon?
When the 15% of the $3.6 million was the first loan that was made with regard to the fire and emergency vehicles purchase, then subsequently a letter was received to pay the balance. And the first letter instructions that you had was 21st September 2012. Did you have a board
20
approval? 2012.
So in September
You
2012.
have the documents there, yes. You have exhibit SC 15. $15% amounting to some 548,000 US dollars was first paid with regard to the fire tenders in September 2012.
September 2012.
Yes, the documents are there. And the telex transfer to Okosh is also attached, 21st September 2012, 548,964.
I can't remember that one. As I said, that was just a few weeks when I just arrived.
That's fine, I just want the records to be
Yeah.
clear.
Yeah. I can't recall.
So the board resolution was in 2014, basically,
Yes, that's the one.
to covering all the loans in respect of this matter.
Yes.
And with regard to the loan to NAWEC of 5.6 million, Mr. Momodo Akibayo was the chairman.
Yes, please, yes.
Mr. Chairman, may I apply to have admitted 2 documents said to be walkabout resolutions with regard to a NAWEC loan of $5,613,944 and with regard to fire and emergency vehicles of $3,659,761.
Walk about board resolution dated 9th January 2014, re Fire and Emergency Vehicles for Yundum Airport. Admitted, mark SC27A. Walkabout a resolution dated 31st December 2012, re Executive Directive to provide bridge financing of 5,613,944.88 cents. Admitted, mark SC27B.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Graham, with regard to the loan of, we'll just go back to a couple of loans, 15 million for the Tobaski Rams. Did you have any resolution of the board? Whether 15 million Tobaski Rams. Yeah. Did you have a board resolution subsequently?
No, as I said before, that was a few weeks when I just arrived.
Yes, but there was nothing stopping you from taking it to the board subsequently. Did you take it to the board subsequently?
Subsequently, usually we discuss, I take periodically the loans to the board to discuss the loans. So,
Mr. Graham, this is a simple question. Did you have a resolution
no, I don't
approving
have
the loan subsequently?
I don't have
yes, just for the record. Now, the acquisition of the aircraft, did you have a board resolution subsequently?
I don't.
Like you did for the one that you tender, fire tenders?
I can't remember.
You can't remember? All right. Mr. Chairman, that's all we have for Mr. Graham for the moment. We'll recall you when we have reviewed the documents that you have admitted. Do you have any other documents you want the Commission to look at in relation to these loans?
To loans?
In relation to, yes, all the matters that you have difficulty hearing? No. Is there anything you want the board to look at in relation to your testimony? This the last time you were here and today. Okay.
Yes, I just want you to know that I think I've already said that when I said that the board has no mandate to approve or disapprove executive directives or directive from the minister.
You have said that, and it's up to the Commission to decide whether they agree with you or don't agree with you, as the chairman has made very clear once they have looked at the act. And if you have, the chairman has also made it clear that if you want to take counsel to make a submission on this point on your behalf, you can do so.
Yeah. The other thing I just want to know with your permission is that efforts or actions were taken to retrieve these loans, verbally and in writing, and we have evidence of those things. And I remember one of them, if I'm permitted to explain. One of them was written on the 5th of November 2014, where we wrote to the executive after a lot of verbal talking. We wrote to the executives, called their attention to the series of meetings that we have with the different ministers and the secretary generals, and urged them to pay these monies. And we even listed some of the big loans just to trigger some action, so that they can write to the parastatals and also they themselves to take action to pay. On the 24th of November, a reply was made from the executive. We received a reply from the executive with 2 directives, that they should set up a task force with immediate effect, and the task force members were listed. That is the Secretary General, which was Dr. Kalbayo at that time, the Minister of Finance, Keba S. Ture, the Minister of Trade, Mr. Job, and the Minister of Energy, Edward Sane, was listed in the task force. And another directive was given in that same letter that they should come up with a solution before the 25th of December that very year. And I remember they kept a meeting, they called an emergency meeting on the 9th of December at State House, where they discussed the matters and how to strategize to get NAWEC and government to pay. And the second or the third meeting should have happened on the 30th of December 2014. And unfortunately, that was the time the shooting took place in the State House, and there was no work the next day. And by the time the dust settled, Dr. Kalbaya was relieved of his duties. And when the new Secretary General came in, we talked to him, I spoke to him as usual, and I wrote another letter on the 28th of August, reminding them, calling their attention to the directives that were given on the 24th of November 2014, and urged them to pay or to give directives to ensure that these monies are paid. After doing that, when we cannot get any positive response, that's the time we decided to re-strategize and go solo and start to talk with NAWEC, and also come up with the next stage was to talk to finance, which I started already, that we should also wipe off our liabilities, future liabilities with government in the form of tax, whereby all the social security and all the subsidiaries, just like in the case of NAWEC, should pay all their tax to social security, and we will write it off against the loans. By so doing, we were gearing up to do a side sort of action to be getting this money, whilst we are putting pressure on the government.
Mr. Graham, do you have the letters that you're referring to?
Yes, I do have the letters.
If you want to have them admitted, please produce them.
This is the one for the 20th of August. This is the one for the 5th and 24th, 5th of November. 24th of November.
Mr. Graham,
yes,
is that it?
Yes,
you want to bring to
the different letters are attached.
Mr. Chairman, these are letters produced by the witness with regard, according to his evidence, to the repayment of outstanding loans. May I apply to have it admitted? I have them admitted. Sorry. And responses from the Office of the President.
sorry, and related correspondence. And letter from Office of the President dated 24th November 2014 to the Minister of Finance, Minister of Energy, Minister of Trade, and the Managing Director, Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation, re SSHFC loans to public enterprises and the Gambia government with the objective of setting up a task force with the mandate to facilitate the liquidation of a portion of the said loans and related correspondence. Admitted, mark SC 28.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have any more questions for Mr. Graham. The commissioners may have.
We have a few. Mr. Graham?
Yes, please.
In your deliberations or testimony, you mentioned investments.
Mention?
The word investments. You said the loans that were given out
Yes, please.
were term investments.
Yes, please.
What is your understanding of an investment?
An investment, from my perspective, is to give out funds with the intention of getting back the principal plus an interest on it.
Correct. Future income.
To generate funds.
Exactly. So that's future income.
That's
Funds or property.
properties. Yeah.
Money committed or property acquired
Yep.
for future income.
Yep.
In your experience, did that really happen in your dealings with the central government
Yes.
as with respect to the directives?
Yes.
Did you get future income?
Yes. I
Really?
did.
Okay. Give us specific examples.
The sale of Marina Parade, number 1A Marina Parade, where Justice now resides.
Those
So-
were not part of the loan standard. Let's limit to the exhibits.
The loan standard.
Yeah, the example cited.
Gambia Petroleum. Investment in Gambia Petroleum.
Was that part of the one cited by council?
You say investments. We are dealing with investments.
No. I said in relation to your dealings with the central government.
Yes.
Yes.
It was a directive from the central government to invest in Gambia.
But you are
Petroleum.
conveniently choosing the ones that worked out. The
But
intention of the question,
Yeah.
yes, is to share your experience with respect to the loans that you gave out and that didn't come.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's income. Nawek loan,
No,
for example.
no. The loans that were not repaid. I don't intend to waste the commission's time
I'm
by
not wasting
asking
the
you.
commission's time.
I said I. So if you let me finish, I don't intend to waste the commission's time
Yeah.
to ask you to give me loans that you recovered. So in your experience, giving out loans to the central government or to the counterparties that they chose for you,
Okay.
did you really achieve that investment purpose? Like the RAM sale and the few examples council mentioned. I'm limiting my scope to the information that was tendered as exhibit.
Yeah.
I don't have knowledge of what happened outside what you submitted. Did you get future income?
Yes. We have future income.
From the RAM sale, for example, tell us how you did.
The RAM say if the loans were paid,
I didn't say if, I said did you get future income? There's no condition here. It's either yes or no.
well, in finance, We don't answer yes or no.
I
with
know,
that kind of
I
question.
know finance.
No, with that kind of question, because if you give out loans, whether they pay it or not individually, you accrue for the interest. And that interest is accounted for in the current income and expenditure.
I said, did you get future income from the ram sale?
The ram sale, I can't remember. No, I don't think they paid it. It was a loan that was not paid yet.
So you broke the first rule of investment.
I don't think so.
What is the first rule of investment?
It's to make future income.
No, not to lose money.
Yeah, not to lose money.
Yeah, you lost
Money has not been lost. It's a loan. It's still outstanding.
Okay.
It's still outstanding.
It's still
and furthermore, when you give out loan as a banker, when you give out loan, if the person fails to pay as at the time when you should pay, that doesn't mean loss of income, because you still accrue for the interest, and the interest is accounted for in the finance. So it is not
very
a loss
good.
of income.
Very good. How much interest is due and owing from the ram sale?
How much?
Interest is accrued and due from the ram sale.
I don't know how much interest.
Well, you're supposed to keep track of it.
Yeah,
if you're saying it's not lost money,
yes, I said it's not lost money because it's still outstanding.
Good. Can you tell us how much is due and owing?
The 15 million is still due.
And how much interest?
I don't know whether interest. It depends on the loans, on the terms of the loans.
As
because
managing
sometimes
director,
not every time you give loans for interest when it comes to government.
I know finance. I've done finance for 15 years. No need for the process.
Yeah.
I understand that. What I'm saying is, as managing director, you had full responsibility and accountability.
Yes.
Can you find out how much interest is due and owing from the 15 million? That's information you should have had ready and handy if you believe that the money is not lost. As far as your other colleagues, your predecessor or your successor, Mr. Jiba, and Mr. Laicham, this money is still outstanding.
Yes.
And the assumption from me is that you are giving to a counterparty who was in default and will never pay. The money went to KGI or Kanilai Farms.
No, not that money.
How much?
Not
The ram
that
sale went to who?
Not that money. Maybe he's talking about 10 million given by my predecessor. This money was not given to KGI.
It's all part of the portfolio you manage.
Yeah, it's all part of the portfolio
Exactly.
I manage, but I was not the one who gave it, so I cannot give account of that.
So when you come in, you brush aside what your predecessor did.
I don't brush aside, it is still outstanding in the account, but that doesn't mean that I'm responsible for that.
While you were there until 2016, you were not responsible for its collection?
Pardon?
While you were there,
Yes.
until you got release of your service.
Yes.
You got relief of your services in 2017.
Yes.
You were not responsible for the
I was
recovery.
responsible and I took action.
So what are you talking about?
I'm
That you are
talking
not
that I've
accounting.
taken action, and the letters are there with you, with all due respect.
So I'm confused with the consistency. You
Yeah.
just said it happened before you sat there.
Yes.
Yeah, and you are not responsible. Now, when I reversed the question and said, until you are relieved, you had accountability, you said yes.
Yes, I have
So-
accountability for the entire corporation as at the time when I was ruling. But I will not take responsibility for the transaction that transacted before my time. I will not take responsibility for that. I will take responsibility to try to retrieve the payment, but not the payment outside. But I will take responsibility for
How
retrieving.
do you differentiate it? The whole portfolio is yours. Your recovery efforts cannot set aside what your predecessors did.
My recovery program,
Cannot isolate the debt that was incurred before. That's not being responsible or accountable as a manager. The whole portfolio is yours.
yes, it's mine.
Exactly. So I want consistent answers so it becomes easier.
It's consistent, my honorable. With all due respect, I'm saying that collecting the loans is my responsibility. But the giving out of those loans when I was not the MD, I will not take responsibility for that. I will only take responsibility for collecting them. And I have taken steps to collect all of the loans, as you can see in those letters. I took steps. Otherwise, I could have said that, well, it was not my time, so I will not call for those loans. No. When I took over, from there, it's there and forward, but not backwards. So I took responsibility for collecting, but I will not take responsibility for giving a loan that was not given when I was not employed. I will not take that responsibility.
Are we asking you to do that? Did any part of my question assign you responsibility for giving it out? Yes or no?
Yes.
Which part of my question?
Your question is said, I should take I'm talking two ways, that I should not take responsibility when it's time to give, but I'm saying that I'm taking responsibility when it's time to collect.
That's not accurate. I didn't say that.
That's
That's
what
probably your
understand.
understanding.
That's what I understand from you.
Exactly. What I said was, as managing director, when you come in,
Yeah.
you take full responsibility of the portfolio.
Yes.
And your recovery efforts cannot isolate.
Yes.
That's very clear, plain English.
Yes.
Okay, so if I agreed on that, we can advance.
Yes. I took full responsibility for that.
Okay, good. As part of investment,
Yeah.
when you invest, there should be an exit strategy.
Yes.
Good. When you were giving out some of the monies, in case the government didn't pay, what were some of your exit strategies?
The exit strategy is to write to them and try to demand the money. And also, some of the exit strategy that I took was to face the institutions themselves, as in NAWEC, as in the case of NAWEC. I faced the institution themselves and I was retrieving it.
Do you understand the question?
I understand the question. You say what exit?
Let me rephrase it. Do you know why you got paid for the tens?
Yes.
Do you know why you got paid for the tens? The loan you gave out for the tens? Because you had a counterparty with an underlying guarantee called the central bank. They have a reputation to protect, and they came in as guarantors and they paid. So what I'm asking, in some of the loans that you gave out, did you have a guarantor? And in case there was no guarantee, what was your exit strategy with respect to having a hold on some of those assets that you purchased so that in default you can sell? Did you have any exit strategy?
In the normal loans, with the normal procedures, we do have guarantors. But with executive directives, we don't.
Why? You
Executive
said
directives.
investment, and investment has
Yeah,
nothing-
but it's an executive directive. I'm not the one who gave them the executive powers.
It
It's the
stops.
constitution.
It stops.
Who gave them?
Yeah, the directive. Yeah, stops once you agree to give out the loan. Now it's about investment principles.
Yes.
Yes. So when you were purchasing the aircraft, for example,
Yeah.
or those fire ambulances,
Yes.
what were the exit strategies?
The exit strategy, it was a directive. I don't need an executive.
No, that's not accurate. According to investment principles,
When
yeah,
you are dealing executive directive, with all due respect, you don't go with investment principles. It's a directive. It stems from the executive powers of the President of the Republic of the Gambia. You
I know
don't
that.
go with a normal. You don't go with a normal norm of investment when a directive is involved. You don't.
yes. And that is why you couldn't say yes or no. You had to say yes. That's where the directive stops. After you agree as a board, you know, when we asked your head of finance, he said here, they couldn't confirm, and that is the Social Security as a body, they couldn't even confirm the delivery of the aircraft. Is that a normal way of investing? It was more like putting employee contributions at risk. If you follow directives, that stops from your inability to say no. You grant it. But while you are purchasing it, the least you can do is to confirm that your funds were meant for the purpose stated. Right now, that loan is still outstanding and due. According to you, it's not lost. It's just that you do not have any hope for recovery, unless this government agrees that it's a continuum and they will find a way. But as far as the old government is concerned, that's lost money. So tell us how you, as an investment manager, ensured that the funds committed were meant for future income.
With all due respect, Honorable Commissioner, if you get back to when I was asking the questions, when the Honorable Council asked me, what are the procedures of giving out loans? I told her there are two procedures. The normal procedures, and that normal procedures we will go through with the normal investment procedures. But when it's an executive directive, I cannot go with the normal procedures, and I cannot ask them to give for a guarantee, because an executive directive, according to the Act, is that we carry it out.
And she also asked, do you have a procedure for non-normal or abnormal request?
Yes.
Do you have it in writing?
The
procedure to give out loans, yeah, when things are abnormal.
Yeah, or in practice, yes, we get it in practice.
Yeah, you practiced it,
Yes.
and you didn't institutionalize it. You didn't put it in writing
It's in the
as part of the policy. If you did, can you show us what happens when you have the normal and the abnormal? Because then that helps us understand that you were running an investment outfit with the expectation of abnormal requests and how to treat them.
The abnormal requests, Honorable Commissioner, directives are stated clearly in the Act. When we receive, we shall comply. We comply with the Act, we comply with the directive, whether or not the financial institutions of all over the world say otherwise, we comply. We don't go with the investment policies of creating...
The directive mentioned in the Act said with respect to policies and guidelines.
Yes.
It didn't detail how much you should lend, for how long, and what your recovery efforts are.
Yeah.
It's with respect to policies.
Yeah.
Yes. So your modality, giving out loans and how you're going to get it, that should be laid out in your investment strategy. And I don't believe the people from the OP have any say in that.
The investment policy is clear in the Act, and we go according to the investment policy.
Good.
It's clear in the Act.
And that said, any funds committed will be with the expectation of future income.
It states that the minister will approve, and the approving authority is the minister, and the directives are coming from the minister. So at that point in time,
is that exactly what
you go accordingly immediately?
Is that what the investment strategy says?
Is that what
the investment strategy said?
Yes.
The minister will make a request and you will approve. That's not part of investment strategy.
Yes,
that would probably be your policy guidelines.
It's part of the Act and under the policy.
Yeah, I'm talking about investment strategy, not
your
Act.
Investment strategy. Yeah, the investment strategy. When there's a directive,
you know, Mr. Graham, it helps when you make errors, yeah, in executing your functions, to come and say, we didn't have a choice, we did it, but it was not the best way to do it. But when you sit there and you vigorously defend what you've done in light of simple, obvious, common sense finance principles, which you didn't abide by, we wonder the type of professionalism exhibited.
With all due respect, Commissioner, I am saying that when it comes to executive directive, professionalism is out. That's what I'm saying. We all know that when a directive is given, it shall be enforced. It's an authority to enforce orders, and it is ensured that it is carried out. Those orders are carried out as intended. So at that time, you have no authority over the investments that you can apply.
So now you have the opportunity to tell us, as a result of this directive, we lost money, we cannot recover. Then we will know that you had no choice. The ball is in your court.
Yeah, as a result of that, we incur liabilities which are still outstanding in our financial books.
Okay, that's closer to the loss, but you do not admit to the loss.
Until it is written off.
How many years do you have to hold it to start provisioning?
As long as it's in the books of financing, it's not.
There is a time limit.
Pardon?
There is a time limit.
Is it?
There should be a time limit. According to your act, how long can you keep those liabilities before you start provisioning?
There is nothing in the act that states that.
So you can hold it forever?
We don't hold it forever. The external auditors will ask us to provision as we go.
Have they recommended so far any provision?
Yes, there are some provisions made. There are some provisions.
So at that point, you will recognize the loss?
As at that point, yes. But that doesn't mean that we recognize in the books, but that doesn't mean that we will not follow it up. We'll recognize in the books, but we still follow it up.
What is intriguing me is you've dealt with a counterparty with a solid track record of default. Yeah. And you sit there and you assume you'll recover the loans.
Yes.
Can you tell me 2 solid reasons why you believe you recover the loans? For example, from the RAM sale. Just 2 good examples.
2 examples is the NAWEC loan. I'm now recovering the NAWEC loan.
Okay, that's a public conversion. The KGI
it was given by directive.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Another one
has agreed.
Another one is the 10th.
The 10th, the central bank came to your rescue.
Yes.
Good. So can we get a better one?
It came to rescue, but we gave it out and it's paid.
I agree with the NAWEC example. Based on your letters of request and pushing, you got it back. But in the case of the RAM sales, for example, you sat there and you thought it was okay to help the poor and the needy. You didn't see anything grossly wrong with that.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what makes you believe you recover that money?
Because the government is still there and we are still pushing for them. And the strategies which we have used have started working, like the NAWEC one. The strategy we use is working. And the next strategy that we started talking with finance is to offset the future tax payments of all the institutions against their loans. And I was sure that from the trend we were going, because even finance sent out letters of offsetting. So with that trend, I was going to recover them. Through that strategy, I was going to recover the loan.
Are you sure?
Yes.
The water tank, for example, the water tank,
Yeah.
6.4 million, yeah, paid to someone who did not even work for central government, yeah, invoiced in the name of a corporate body not linked in any way to government, officially. How do you intend to get the 6.4 million back?
If it was in my situation and I was the MD, I don't think I would have gone in for that loan.
You would have declined.
I may have declined. I cannot say it because I'm not there, but I may have declined because it has no direct impact with the government and the corporation.
That would be a force, and we would have commended you for taking that action.
Yeah.
Because in investment principles, there is a time to decline. So that would have been something worthy of notice. Unfortunately,
I was not
every single request from the central government was approved. Do you have another example where that was probably the right course of action? In the case of the RAM sales, didn't you think, even while you were there,
No.
it should have been declined?
No.
Why?
Because other members of the fund, they take loans for their staff, for either billing for their staff for billing and other things. They took loan for that. Other members took loan for that to help their staff. So why should we not give government to help the people who have money in the organization?
Housing is a lot more important than Tobaski. And when it comes to Tobaski, if you don't have it, it's no longer obligatory. So to see the central government borrowing money that they have not repaid up to this day for Tobaski, only you can defend. But that's fine. I want to move on to the last question.
That's relative, Honorable Commissioner.
That's why I said
importance is relative.
you have defended. I wouldn't defend, and I'm not sure I will see any other managing director defend that. Certainly, the people who sat before you in the name of that same organization did not defend it. But that's you. So the final question is, in your investment portfolio, since you called it investment, can you tell me 3 counterparties that you have there who were not directed by the central government to come and get money from you, where on your own initiatives you scored them, you decided that they were good investment and you gave them money? Because that's what investment managers do.
Can you come again, please?
In your portfolio, in your book of people you've given money to,
Yeah.
3 companies that you on your own initiative scored them, they qualified, and you decided that it was a good investment, as opposed to what we usually see, central government directing you to lend to the others.
GPA, Gambia Post Authority.
Good.
Gamtel.
Good.
What's the other one? Even Gambia Family Planning.
So it's all to your credit that you didn't sit there and wait.
Yeah.
So these are things that are good to highlight.
Yeah.
That's my final question.
Mr. Graham, I just have, I think, 2 or 3 questions, please. We've heard a lot of funds being paid out for investments, but I'd like to know, during your tenure as MD, whether there were any governance mechanisms, be it internal or external, and investment controls that were put in place to ensure sound management of pension funds and to further isolate them from interference from government or interventions. Would you like me to repeat it?
We, as a management team, we rely on the Act, the provisions of the Act, the investment policy that is stated clearly in the Act. We go by that. We are protected by the Act.
Okay, so during that, okay, you can be protected by the Act as you mentioned, but so you're saying that there were no other mechanisms put in place just to isolate the funds from government interventions?
We cannot isolate the funds from government interventions. Government is a member of the fund and we cannot isolate them from the fund.
But then Social Security has the mandate to protect the funds of pensioners, isn't it? Pensioners' contributions, so to ensure solvency of the fund.
Which includes the civil servants.
Yes, I understand, but I'm saying that the mandate Social Security has is to ensure that the fund is solvent.
Is to ensure that it's solvent.
Good. So that's why I'm asking the question whether there were other mechanisms put in place, be it governance, be it investment controls, to ensure that funds are safe.
Yes, we go according to the Act. To ensure that funds are protected, we don't go beyond our mandate. We go with the Act. That's what we do. We go with the Act, and as I've said, the government, we cannot exclude the government from taking loans because the government is a member of Social Security funds. So we cannot exclude the government. If we want to exclude the government, we have to exclude all other members.
Okay, I think that's not my statement. My statement, I just wanted to know whether there were controls put in place
and
the
mechanisms.
Control is
that we don't go beyond.
Yes. But I'm not talking about whether government has or what is not given. That's not what I'm trying to get to. Okay, that's fine. I'm now going to specifics, particularly the loan that was given to NAWEC. I know that when the 5.6 million was paid out, the dollars, TBL, your account at Trust Bank, was overdrawn.
Yes.
And as a result, Trust Bank earned revenue of $73 million.
Yes.
Also, more money was paid out from what the evidence that we were given from the TBL account based on a directive that came in. Again, Social Security acted as a guarantor for GGC on various loans that they took out and they defaulted. So obviously the banks called on the term deposits of Social Security. Now my own question again, do you feel that this is the best way of safeguarding the pensioners' funds? Because at the end of the day, when pensioners retire, they want to have access to their funds. Because Mr. Cham made a mention here that there's an unfunded liability of the pensioners' funds. So would you say that these investments in the first place should not have even been made?
If we were left on our own with management to do the necessary investments as we do, we will not have gone in for some of these investments. But if we were directed to give it, our hands are tied by the Act. We go according to the Act. As far as the Act is concerned, when our hands are free, we take the necessary measurement. But when the Act that created the corporation stifle our movement, we cannot do otherwise but to comply.
Okay, interesting. The other question I have is, Mr. Cham mentioned here that these assets, if I call them in your books, which are investments, that provisioning had not been made. Now, what I'd like to know from Social Security's perspective, because for investments, at the end of each year, an impairment review should be carried out on those investments to see whether you will recover or whether you will need to write off. So he mentioned that there were about 5 to 10% provisioning made on these investments, which is again overstating the books, considering that some of these investments from 2010, no recovery has been made. So in that sense, yes, maybe one would say external auditors agreed on that. But looking at it, if an improper impairment review was made, those assets should not have their almost full carrying value in the books. So I'd just like to hear why that was done.
As an outsider, it's open for everybody to make their own opinion.
True.
But we go with the auditors. We negotiate with the auditors, we look at the books. If the auditors feel that that's the level of provisioning we need to make, we go according to it. So,
Well, provisioning is not about negotiating. I think that's the wrong term to use.
The wrong word, negotiating.
Yes.
But we look into it and agree that that is the proper one to be made as at the time. And when the external auditors agree to that, we'll sign off. The accounts are audited, and of course, it is open for everybody to make their own opinions about it. But the actual thing is, we went in line with the Act.
Interesting. Okay. My final question on that would be, when you were appointed as an MD, I'd just like clarification. Did you take an oath of office?
Which one?
Well, irrespective of the terms.
Okay.
Did you take an oath of office?
No, we don't take oath of office as an MD.
As an MD of a
ministers
parastatal?
and those people took an oath of office. I was not a minister.
Yeah, it's a clarification that I wanted. So my final question, I had said one final before, but I think I'll change that now. My final question is, looking at all these monies, based on the evidence that we have been given, it's quite disturbing the amounts of monies that have been given out, which is pensioners' fund